Thanks for checking out the CB vlog this week. If you like these videos, do us a fave. Run down and hit subscribe. Or if you really love them, run over to Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew, and help us make these videos yourself. But let's start talking. Sean, what are we talking about today?
I think this topic was inspired by the recent bannings and all of the discussions that have come out of it. And I think what it would be good is I think we all need to make sure we're not making assumptions about what Commander is. We make a lot of assumptions that we know what Commander is and how it works. But I think we need to stop assuming what Commander is specifically.
Okay. There's a few things we can assume. 100 cards.
Yes.
One in the zone.
Yeah. One in the zone, one on the phone.
Yeah, two in the phone, one in the zone. Yeah, but you're talking about things like perceptions and how everyone kind of thinks what like we all think we can just kind of know about Commander.
Yeah.
And like almost like from like a meta standpoint, like but as a larger meta, like a Maxa, if you will.
A meta, a max. Yeah, like I guess, and then so like one example of this you hear all the time is that you can't play aggro in Commander.
Right, exactly. Right? There you go. Yeah, that's one of the good examples.
Everyone always says because we have twice as much life than regular, and we're playing multiplayer. So instead of taking a person down by 20 life, you have to take 120 life off of the table.
Yes.
That's why, and then so people just outright assume that like you can't play aggro, and although I will agree, like that is a reason why aggro's trickier than like they have not designed most of the cards for Commander, like the aggro cards. But I just feel like when we make statements like that, like newer players will just be like, okay, so I can't play red for the most part, right? Unless it's like Krenko combo or something like that. So like I think it's they're dangerous ideas to put out into the world, right? I think you can play aggro if your meta, I guess that's the point. Everything is meta dependent. If your meta loves aggro decks and you have 4 aggro Commander decks going at each other, what a fun game that must be.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess I was just kind of finishing my point. Like, it's just like that would be a very fun game, and we would see a lot of interesting interactions and cards you almost never see in Commander.
It actually reminds me of a game that I played in, and it was like, I think it was me, you, and I don't know. I think it was maybe Butler or Alistair. I can't remember, but it was like I was playing an Infect deck. You were playing an Aurelia, like equipment style deck, and someone else was playing another. Like it might have been something like a Shu Yun type of deck or like something like that, but it was all the aggro that Commander is kind of used to. So they're the traditional like mono red burn style, bunch of like 1 mana 2/1s and things like that. Like, yeah, that deck doesn't exist, but there are other ways of it. So just to think that aggro doesn't exist in Commander, it's kind of not true, because like a lot of what you would consider Infect decks, they kind of have to be aggressive, right? That's the point, but they have to be aggressive in kind of a different way than you are in a 1v1 or like standard or something like that.
Yeah, but I think, yeah, right. And I think just in that little explanation there, you kind of just put out a phrase. You said that 2 mana, like 2/1s for 2, 2/1s for 1, you said that deck doesn't exist. And I think that's the kind of thing we got to watch out for, because like, I mean, it exists in the same way that like, people wearing hats deck exists, right? It's like
sure,
right?
But you're not gonna play. You're not gonna like when you play when you put a deck together for Commander. You're not gonna build being like, well, if I run into this hat deck, I'll never know what to do. But you do
right.
you do plan for like good artifacts, right? Like flying creatures that are big. When infinite combo stuff that you can use to break up combos, perhaps. You know what I mean?
Like, and I think what we're touching on here is the conversations I think I want to be careful of, because like those are the majority of the decks. I think that's true, but again, it does come down to your meta. Your meta might just be you might have a meta where like, yeah, okay, let's all build like draft aggro type of Commander decks and see who can win that way. like focusing on like incremental card advantage and like combat tricks and stuff like that. We people generally say you can't build decks like that, but I don't like hearing those phrases, because you just have to know what you're getting into. And again, it all comes back to it's all meta dependent.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So you're saying that like you don't want to dissuade anyone from trying those types of builds, perhaps, right?
Right.
But
right.
there is a reason that those types of decks you don't see very often in Commander, right?
Yes, because yes, you don't see them very often because most people play in this sort of like, well, I mean, this is a topic for another day, but like
Yeah.
we don't even know what kind of decks we play. We as a community have the hardest time accurately describing our power levels. There's no
yes,
good
exactly.
way.
What I was gonna say also too is like, yeah, the all 1 mana 2/1 red, burn deck or whatever isn't really a thing you come across a lot in Commander for various reasons, right? Because the multiplayer format, high life totals, these things.
Yeah.
But you are correct in saying that, like, well, you didn't say this, but it's actually one of the great things about Commander is that challenge of building that deck exists.
Yeah.
Right? Like saying that something can't be done in Commander there's a certain group of, I don't know, say us, that at times will be like, well, let's see if that can work. Let's see if I can actually do that. You know what? I am going to build that deck, and whether it's good or not might not even matter to me, right? Like Epic Experiment, we made fun of the card saying it was bad and you would never want to play it, and then we built a whole deck around it, and it's one of my favorite decks.
One of our favorite decks. Yeah, and like I'll say that, like, okay, so if you want to build like a mono red super aggro like draft style deck, maybe you do Boros with like mentor triggers and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that's gonna be tough to win a game, but like I bet you could build a deck that can take one person out.
Yes. Yeah.
Right,
Definitely.
And so this goes to the broader discussion. Like, what's your meta like? Like no assumption you make about Commander can be made unless you make it within the context of your meta.
I would even say it goes a step more inward, right? Like you can even, you're saying like don't just, it's not about the entire Commander community. It's more about your meta. I even think it goes a step farther, and it's just about you. Like if you want to build that deck and you only care about taking one person out in a game, then there you go. You don't even need to worry about your meta, right? Like the meta doesn't even really matter to you.
And I mean, like there's so many and I think this is where like the banning discussion ties into all this, because everybody has fun for different reasons. Like, and we say red is not as strong, or we say aggro is not effective because we're assuming,
or they say white is not as strong.
They say white is not strong, but we're assuming that your context is you want to play power level decks of about 6 or 7 and you want to win, right? Like that's your main goal. It's like, well, that's probably true for a lot of the community, but I don't think you just can't say that. Like, I think it's unfair to make blanket statements without also including the context.
Yeah, I think that's a totally fair and correct thing to say, and it's part of that discussion of should we even have a rules committee? Should we even have a banned list? Like,
oh boy,
it's a bigger discussion. We kind of touched on it last week a little bit.
I can't get into that now. We don't have time.
No, we can't. We don't have time for that right now. But I do like the idea of like, don't let anyone say that, or tell you especially that X thing isn't good, or X thing, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, people say this card's too slow.
You can decide if you don't like it because you like to play faster or slower or whatever. Yeah, you make your own decisions about that. But like I remember starting to play Commander and starting to build decks and asking for like help on, I think it was just on the EDH subreddit on Reddit, and everyone came back and told me like I needed to have these 20 cards and these cards were bad, and I was like, man, there's some of my some of those cards I really like. Now I took the like gameplay reasoning into account there. I wasn't just like, well, these guys are all wrong, I like this card, it's good. I was like, I knew that some of them were like quote bad cards, but I also knew that I liked playing them. Dead Bridge Chant is the one everyone said get that out of your deck.
Yeah,
and I was like, this card's fun, I like this card, I'm gonna play it.
That's a fun card.
6 mana thing, mills 10, bring something back randomly. Like, That's fun. I'm gonna do that.
And see, like just on a bigger picture, just of why I think it's important is because like I'm going to assume this is when you were relatively new to the game, and it's like it behooves all of us. It be creator hooves all of us to like make this game the best possible for newer players, because the more people that play it, the better our format is, right? Yep. Because they'll put more attention on it, they'll design more products for it, we'll get more support. And I think that, like, you know, if someone's like, hey, I just built this great new deck, it's kind of aggro because I love it. Like, what can you imagine turning around and being like, yeah, your deck's bad and you can't play it? It's like, oh, thanks.
It's pretty rough if you're playing with that person. Just don't.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you just don't play with that guy.
But because like your advice is saying these cards are bad is only true if you think about it in terms of where you play. Like maybe where you
or how
play,
you like to play.
Yeah, how I like to play, those are bad cards.
Sure.
But I don't know how you like to play. If you come to me, like, I don't know what your other meta is. If everyone is on equal footing and you all have similar decks, keep it that way. Enjoy that time while you can, because you know once your decks get kind of overpowered and whatever, it's hard to make like quote unquote worse decks. It's like it's hard to go back.
And like I understand the appeal of power. I've been there. I've dipped a toe into that and then been like, ooh, you know what? This is dangerous. This is you know, it's true what they say. Great responsibility there. And you know what? I just backed away from it a little bit and decided, you know what? This is tempering everything is good. So anyways, whatever. That's again another discussion. But yeah, overall, play the way you want to play. Don't let anybody tell you you're not allowed to, or you shouldn't.
Yeah, and don't tell other people how they should play and what's good for them.
Even though that's what we're doing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
that's not what we're doing.
I mean about cards and games
specifically. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that's it for this week. If anyone wants to join in, jump on those comments down below and let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what your favorite card in a deck is that other people have told you is bad and you should not play, but you refuse to listen.
What was yours? Do you know? Do you have one?
Mine
was Deadbridge Chant.
Deborah's Chant, yeah. Like I mean, I built a whole deck around the Great Aurora, which people throw around as a bad card.
That's true. That's true. Seen that deck played many times. Don't believe I've seen a Great Aurora once.
I never draw it.
I know. I've never seen it.
I've never drawn it.
Yeah, I gotta get some tutors in there. Anyways, yeah. Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see everyone next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Big thanks to all our patrons who make these episodes possible.
Yeah, and if you want to check out more comedy videos, check out our Brews News playlist.
Make sure you follow us on Twitch TV to see when we play live.
If you want to chat with us, head over to Twitter. We're @CommandersBrew.
And please hit subscribe to ding the bell and find out when we got new stuff coming out.
See you next time.
Bye.